today we are going to be reading The Bridesmaid by Tanisha Stewart. So if you were not here yesterday, I was going to break it up in a couple of days, but the book was so good, num num eat it up, that we did finish The Patient. The read was about 3 hours. You can definitely listen to the replay, break it up. It was a good one. You do not want to miss. We're not going to do this book like this. We're going to read today, tomorrow, and Thursday, all right? Today, Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I'm going to read the synopsis and we're going to jump right in. Hey, Shayna. Shayna, girl, we finished the book yesterday. It was too good not to finish. So this is the third book in the Red series by Tanisha Stewart. She wrote a series of books that started with the word the. We have The Deadbeat, The Student, The Trainer, The Bridesmaid. Yesterday we read The Patient. So this is actually the final book in the Red series, but it's the third book in the series. We read it kind of backwards. So for those who don't know, I call it a book girly. From the book reviews that I did on TikTok, the author, Tanisha Stewart, reached out to me to give me some art copies of the books that she had coming out. In her series, the Red series, books 4 through 8 came out last year. So I kind of read those books first, and then go finish The Patient. You're going to have to come back tomorrow. I don't want you to be mixed up in the stories. So we read books 4 through 8. We read on TikTok books 1 and 2. Oh, this is book 4. We read books 1 and 2 on TikTok, and now we're reading books 3 and 4 here. It's okay. I didn't even mean to read the whole book. It's just that we were so engrossed. It was on the edge of your seat. It was just like, we gotta find out what happened. All of her books are on, majority of her books are on Kindle Unlimited, so that is what I'm reading from. It says, violets are blue, roses are red. Your sister can't get married if she winds up dead. The Bridesmaid is a post-pounding psychological thriller by the best-selling author of Everybody Ain't Your Friend and The Quiet series. The Quiet series is probably going to be the next series that we read by her. Casey's life is full of scandalous secrets. On the outside, she's a bright, well-adjusted young woman about to embark on a blessed future with the love of her life. On the inside, everything that's happening is part of a much darker plan. Only one she hopes no one will find out about, because if they do, it could bring deadly consequences. She's on the brink of her future, but on the morning of her wedding, she suddenly disappears. Where's Casey? No one knows, but they're about to find out. And what's more is that Casey isn't the only one holding secrets. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. So if you're just joining, we're about to start reading The Bridesmaid by Tanisha Stewart. I know this is a lot of people's first time seeing me on live, and they're going to have something negative to say. I'm going to block them. I don't have time for it. Hey, Ladybug, welcome back. Now we are not going to finish the book tonight like we did last night, because your girl got to go to sleep. But let's get started. Thank you so much. The Bridesmaid, a psychological thriller by Tanisha Stewart. Oh, why are you doing this? So it is about 42 chapters. Thank you. I got it in a hand-me-down bag, but I think it was from Old Navy. So we're going to read the first 10 to 15 chapters. The Bridesmaid. Chapter 1. Katrina. I wake up, my eyes fluttering open to the soft light flittering through the open drapes. The hotel is bathed in morning sunlight, and for a moment, I forget where I am. Then I feel Troy's warmth beside me, his strong arm draped around my waist, and the memories of last night come rushing back. We spent the night wrapped in each other's essence, a secret love affair that had only been for for our only solace, but the morning brings reality crashing down. I turn to face him, his eyes already open and watching me. There's sadness. There's a reflection of my own heartache. We both know what today means. I'm going to miss days like this, I whispered, my voice barely above a breath. Me too, he replies, his voice heavy with emotion. Why do they have to end? My words are tinged with desperation. You know why. His tone is gentle but firm. I push away, the frustration boiling over. It doesn't have to end if you don't want it to. It's not that simple, Katrina, and you know that. I sit up in my bed, pulling the sheet around my naked body. The sunlight plays across the room, highlighting the disarray of our night together. My thick, coily hair is a mess, matching the chaos of my life. I feel anger and sorrow battling inside of me. Trey reaches out to soothe me, but I recoil. I will always love you, he said softly. I scoff. Wait, hold on. Thanks, Robin Hood. I scoff, the sound harsh in the quiet room. I scramble out of bed, stomp into the bathroom, and slam the door behind me. I stare at my reflection in the mirror. I stare at my reflection in the mirror. I do that a lot too. You got to forgive me. My eyes red and puffy. How did my life become such a tangled mess? A knock on the door startles me, and I barely register Troy's voice at first. Come on, Katrina, let's not fight. Get the F away from me, I scream, heartache etched in my tone. How can he be so heartless after all we've been through? All because she's pregnant? F her, I want to say, but Troy will never hear my reasoning. He will never see me for who I can be to him, and he will never see us for who we could be together. Do. Katrina, comes his soft, low voice, but I refuse to hear it. I mean it, Troy, I repeat, my hands cracking as my shaking hands rest on the sink. Leave me alone. Go get married to your fiance. Silence follows my outburst, then my heart wrenches once more as I hear the faint sounds of him getting dressed to leave. Tears stream down my cheeks. When the door to the room clicks shut, I emerge from the bathroom, looking at the remains of our night. The bed is a rumpled mess, just like my emotions. I know that I have to check out of the hotel soon, but the thought of facing the world exhausts me. Yet I can't afford another day here. I slide my party dress over my thick and curvy body, each movement mechanical. The next few hours pass in a whirlwind, my mind numb to the reality of what is happening. And then I'm standing at the altar, my heart pounding in my chest. Troy is standing across from me, his eyes avoiding mine. He looks handsome, every bit the groom with his perfectly crafted waves, smooth lips, deep caramel skin tone, and his solid built frame is filling out that tux to the T. But I can see the turmoil beneath his composed exterior. His pupils are shifting along with his stance. He always does that when he's nervous. His actions makes me anxious, and I wonder once again, why is he marrying her instead of me? If he loves me, why not ditch her once and for all? Maybe he doesn't love you, my mind taunts. Maybe he only tells you that to keep you at bay so that you can continue to give him what he wants while he builds a life with her. My eyes water with tears at the possibility, but in my heart of hearts, I don't believe it. I know what Troy and I share is real. I just can't seem to get him to change his mind. It's too late now anyway, since we're literally at the wedding, waiting for the bride to waltz down the aisle. Speaking of the bride, the wedding party has been standing and waiting for her for over 20 minutes. Where is she? My gaze travels to the other side of the altar. Everyone else is blissfully unaware of the storm raging between me and Troy. Nate, Edgar, and Jeff, the groomsmen, are standing dutifully behind him, and Tyra and Jocelyn, the other bridesmaids, are behind me. Are we really over? Are Troy and I never going to be together again just because of her? A year ago, I couldn't fathom the thought, but today I face reality. I scowl, fighting the urge to confront him in front of everyone. But I can't ruin this day because Troy is marrying my sister. Oh, child. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2. Katrina. After 20 minutes of us all standing at the altar looking like freaking idiots, Mom finally gets the bright idea to go to the bridal room to check on Casey. After an awkward staring contest between me, Jocelyn, Casey's best friend, Jocelyn's face reddened and she scurries on back to help coax my sister out of hiding. Right. I fight the urge to roll my eyes. My sister has always been dramatic, which is why we never got along growing up. Hurry up and come out of your precious bridal room wearing your pretty white dress so you can destroy my psyche, I urge. Come on, sis. Go ahead and rip my heart right out of my chest. I shouldn't be feeling this way, but I can't help it. Growing up, Casey always got everything that she wanted and never had a problem throwing it in my face. She had the higher grades, so she got the better car and she turned 16. My parents gave me a beat up Honda, but claimed that they were in a much financial predicament when it was Casey's turn. So she was presented with a brand new Malibu. I was grounded for smoking pot on my 18th birthday, but when Casey stumbled into the house at 3 in the morning, barely coherent as she rambled in a silly fashion, my parents thought it was cute and took out their phones to record it. When I graduated college, our parents were stuck in traffic, so they didn't get to see me walk across the stage. But when it came to Precious Casey, they showed up an hour early. Push pause. As an older sibling, I can definitely relate to a couple of things where my parents I feel like my parents showed up for my brother more than they showed up for me. If you're an older sibling, let me know in the chat. The list could go on and on, but I try not to think too deeply into it. Today is supposed to be a happy occasion. After all, I should be proud of my baby sister for getting married. She's accomplished a lot in her life, and now she gets to ride off into the sunset with the love of my life. I sigh and shift from one heel to the other, ready to hurry up and take off this stupid dress so I can burn it. I stare at the sanctuary doors every 5 seconds, willing the music to start up so that Casey can walk down the aisle to so the Casey can walk down the aisle already. Ever the dramatic one, Casey didn't want her wedding to be like everyone else's. She didn't want her bridesmaids to walk down next to the groomsmen and for her to be the grand finale. Instead, she insisted that everyone else already be at the altar, and only her and Dad walk down to the traditional tune of "Here Comes the Bride." The only thing is, Dad is sitting in the audience, like exhausted from waiting for her to show up. When I first arrived, he was in the back thinking Casey would show up any minute. But once all the guests had arrived and the wedding party was at the altar, he strolled in and took a seat in the middle in the audience. I'm assuming he's waiting for Mom to give him a cue when Casey finally shows up. Imagine I do this a lot too. It's like giving me giving my extra opinion. Imagine like everyone's waiting for you at a wedding and they think that you're delaying coming in because you're being dramatic, but you got kidnapped. I fight the urge to roll my eyes again. She clearly planned to be fashionably late to build tension and have everyone fawning all over her like they always did. Another 10 minutes, I am ready to exit the altar and storm to the bridal room myself, assuming she's be back there putting on makeup or staring at herself in the mirror. I would drag her I would drag my sister by her hair down the aisle if I had to. As I take a step to do this, the sanctuary doors open again, and Mom and Jocelyn appear at the back of the room with lots of worry etched across their faces. Mom signals to Dad, and he quickly walks down the aisle. Whispers break out, and I look back at the pastor as if he knows what's going on. He shrugs and gives me the same look. I feel bad for the man. He walks with the cane and has been very patient standing here waiting for my inconsiderate sister. I step down from the altar and walk down the aisle to see what's going on. She's not here, I hear Mom saying as if I approach them. She's not here. Are you reading to us? Yes, if you're willing to listen. I repeat more aggressively than I would like to. Mom and Dad look at me and Mom shakes her head. We checked everywhere, Catherine. Casey's not here. BS, my eyes shoot to Jocelyn. Did she say anything to you about having cold feet? I half hope the answer is yes, because then maybe there's a chance for me and Troy after all. But Jocelyn shakes her head, fear sketch etched into her trembling features. No, nothing, she says. I called her phone 7 times, Katrina. Casey would never do this. I open my mouth to contest that idea and say that yes, my sister indeed would pull a stunt like this. But Jocelyn's eyes is filled with tears. Katrina? Her voice wavers as she speaks. I think something's wrong. Chapter 3, Katrina. So, from the chapters before, it didn't tell us if this point of view of this book is only going to be Katrina. It may switch throughout the book. But so far, it seems to be in the point of view of the sister. Katrina, I'm stewing. Casey couldn't help but to drag this BS out to the 9th degree, all for attention. I'm sick of her. She better have a dang good reason for scaring everyone and not answering her phone. I'm not returning for a rescheduled wedding date. The name of the book is called The Bridesmaid. And you came a little bit late. We only read 2 chapters, but essentially the bridesmaid name is Katrina, whose point of view the book is in, and she has been sleeping with her sister's soon-to-be husband. Yeah. Do, 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 do. I want so bad to go up to him and confront him while I snap out of it and remember why I can't. After a few more seconds of shuffling, Troy makes his way down the aisle amidst more whisperings from the congregation. Across both aisles of pews, people's heads are whipping back and forth from the altar to our family circle. The chatter is growing louder by the second. I can't believe my sister invited all these people just to have us standing here, waiting for her not to show up. The pastor sits on the seat at the altar and leans on his cane. Good for him. His joints must be killing him. Trey makes it to us, but he avoids eye contact with me. My ears grow hot, though I know why he's not giving me any attention. No one in the family knows about us. You think? Do you know where she could be? Mom asks point blank. Troy's parents join our ever-growing circle of unrest. Troy's pupil flip back and forth before he shakes his head. No, I don't. When was the last time you spoke to her? Mom asks. My neck grows tight at the question, considering the hot and steamy night Troy and I just spent at the hotel. At the rehearsal party, he says, and his face reddens like he wants to say more but can't. Mom looks at me next, which I'm unprepared for. What about you? I force a natural expression. Same thing. Mom studied me. The last time you spoke to her was at the rehearsal party? Two? She didn't call or text you this morning? I shrug, fighting to maintain a nonchalant exterior. No, Mom, it's not like we're close. You can't say that again, a voice from behind. Oh, you can say that again, a voice says from behind me, and I turn to see that Nate and Edgar, Troy's groomsmen, have joined our circle. Pretty soon we're going to have the whole dang church surrounding us. Mom looks exasperated. Has anyone spoken to Casey since last night? We all shake our heads, and a nervous tension begins in my gut. I shake it away. It's nothing. Casey is fine. She's just pulling one of her usual stunts for more attention. We should be used to it by now. She's done this since childhood. Why stop at her wedding? I'm sure she'll come waltzing in any minute now, carrying an ice mocha frappuccino and complaining about the drive-through line at Starbucks before being whisked away with gushes of concern and excessive pampering until she finally made up and wearing her immaculate white dress. But when everyone turns away, I catch a subtle smirk like I always do. This is what my sister does. I don't know why I'm the only one who doesn't appear worried, including Troy. I fight the urge to curl my lip at him in disgust. He wasn't worried about my sister's whereabouts last night when he was digging in my guts. Well then. Well then. Mom holds her phone to her ear once again, but her features sink in disappointment when she pulls it away. Pressing the end button, she looks at Dad. We need to get to her house. My heart drops. The nerve and audacity of Katrina sleeping with her sister's fiance. I'm not for a cheater at all, but I feel like it's a story behind this. It's given like I saw him first, but Casey swooped in and took him like she does with everything else. So, I don't know. Chapter 4. Katrina. My mom and dad leave me in charge of postponing the wedding while they race off to their chariots to get Casey's house. Troy and his parents follow them, and Jocelyn, Edgar, and Nate tag along too. I swear if she's laying in her bed drunk after making me go through this level of humiliation, I'll make her butt go missing for real. I hold a brief conversation with the pastor explaining the situation. His forehead creases with worry. Tyra and Jeff, the other bridesmaid and groomsmen, listen in as I speak. When I finish telling him what's going on, Tyra looks worried, but Jeff seems ready to leave. So we're not like coming back to do this again tonight or anything, are we? Jeff seems more concerned about having to don a tux twice in one day than he is about my sister's well-being. There is, but they are both off. I get it. No excuses at all, but I just know it's a little background to it. I don't think she just started sleeping with her sister's fiance to spite her. But maybe she did, child. You can't be the only one that can have Troy. Thank you for the likes. I roll my eyes answering his question. No, I think you're good. We'll reach back out once the ceremony is rescheduled. Cool. Without another word, Jeff is gone. Tyra's staring at me nervously as if she wants permission to leave too. Go ahead, I say, shooing her off, and relief washes over her features before she scampers away, jogging down the aisle in her heels. I sigh, then approach the microphone. I look back at the pastor first to see if he wants to say something, but he nods and gestures for me to go ahead. What's going on? A woman from the congregation calls out as if she doesn't see me standing at the microphone about to speak. I tap the mic to make sure it's working. Hello, everyone. The chatter dies down and all eyes are suddenly on me. I clear my throat, hoping this goes over well as Bibles don't begin flying in my head. We regret to inform you that the wedding has been canceled. It will likely be rescheduled to a different date and time, so please await word from the bride and groom. As soon as the last words exit my lips, the groans and angry comments begin to fill the room. I can't make out what everyone is saying, but they are clear conscious that people are pissed. Wasting my dang time, one man says, with another says, I took a day off work for this. Someone else belts out, are we going to get our money back for the plates we paid for? But I pretend not to hear it as I walk down the aisle with a hurried gut, like I have somewhere to go. Of course, when it comes to planning this extravagant affair, my sister is sure that people pay for their own plates at the banquet hall to the reception would be held at. When I asked her why would she do such a thing, her eloquent explanation that she didn't F with the brokies. I'm still not entirely sure why she meant by that, but that's my sister for you. Once I escape from the sanctuary, the air begins to refill my chest. I need to get out of this dress and heels and figure out what the H is going on with my sister. As I'm heading towards the bathroom, however, other people start spilling out of the sanctuary, and I ditch my idea to get changed. I'll change at Casey's house or when I get home. I don't want to answer any questions, especially since I don't know what the H is going on. I call her phone when I get to my car in the parking lot, but just as with everyone else, it goes to voicemail. The nervous feeling rises up again, but I push it back. Nothing is going on. This is just Casey being Casey, like she always does. She'll turn up in a couple of hours with some BS excuse and everyone will forgive her and laugh it off like they always do. And then she'll marry Troy and I'll pick up the pieces of my miserable existence. I have nothing better to do, so I head over to Casey's house along with everyone else. When I get there, I see my mom's car, Troy and his dad's, and Jocelyn's. But my eyes narrow when I notice that my sister's car is also outside. Did she come home already? Are they all in there laughing and joking about the situation while I was left at church in front of an angry congregation? I suck my teeth and scoff before getting out of the car, stalking up to her front door. Hey, welcome in. We are reading The Bridesmaid. When I walk inside, I'm fully ready to give Casey a vicious tongue lashing, but stop shortly when I notice the house is eerily silent. Mom faces an ashen like she's about to pass out at any moment. I scan everyone's facial expressions and they all look as scared as Mom. The nervous feeling creeps back up, and this time it's worse than before. Where's Casey? I ask, no one in particular, but I'm looking at Mom as I say it. She responds in a shaky tone, clasps her hands together as if she's praying and blinking back a tear before she speaks. Katrina, when we got here, Casey's door was unlocked. We walked in because her car was outside, but Mom's voice breaks in gestures, and then when I noticed the overturned lamps and glass shattered behind where Dad is standing, there was blood on the floor. Mom finishes and then she faints, and Dad and Nate rush to catch her fall. My heart is pounding in my ears. What is that? What does that mean? There's blood on the floor. What blood? Where? I look at Troy, but he's standing there with a guilty expression. Jocelyn and Edgar's faces are mirrored of shock. Troy's parents look like they fell out of place, which they kind of are because two families aren't close. What's wrong with you all? I whip out my phone. Why hasn't anyone called the police? Chapter 5. Katrina. I take charge and order everyone to go outside of the house and not to touch anything as they exit. I trail off after swallowing. If something did happen, we need the evidence to be preserved. Everyone wordlessly follows my commands. I don't know how I'm holding it together because I'm just as scared as they are, but when they exit Casey's house, I feel the need to go see where the blood is. Mom said there was blood, but sometimes she's just dramatic as Casey. It could be 3 tiny droplets for all I know. But as I approach the kitchen and I see blood, not only on the edge of the counter, but also in a small puddle on the floor, my stomach twists and I almost vomit at the sight. This is no accident. Something happened to my sister. Rushing out of the house to get away from the blood, I dial 911, but stop short when I realize that Troy is already on the phone with the police. I still can't believe no one thought to call immediately as soon as they saw the blood. How long were they standing there before I arrived? Nate approaches me. Hey, he says softly and extends his cell phone towards me. I found this on the couch in the living room. I stare at the blackened phone screen and realization dawns. Is that Casey's phone? Nate stammers as he answers, yeah, I think so. And you touched it? My voice raises several octaves to a screech when I ask the question of Nate's ears reddened in embarrassment. Sorry, I wasn't thinking. He quickly wipes the phone against his tuck sleeve. No, I claws his hand, but it's too late. Nate looks at me in confusion. His nostrils flare as we hear sirens approaching. Great job, Nate. You probably just wiped any evidence we could have had before what happened. That wasn't. Look, I didn't know what to do. Nate looks like he's on the verge of tears. I have no sympathy for his stupidity. Since you already have the phone in your possession, hand it over to the police when they come, I say, and go ahead and tell them what you just did with it when you do. A cruiser pulls up and two officers step out, their eyes scanning our circle. Mom steps forward first. My daughter is missing, she explains. Her fiance is the one who called you. She points at Troy. She didn't show up for her wedding, so we all came here and found her front door unlocked and her car outside. Her lower lip trembles as she speaks her next words. And there's things broken inside. Glass shattered on the floor and blood. We found blood. Mom says, sways like she's about to faint again, and Dad holds her steady. Nate holds up the phone. I found this. It's her phone. He extends it towards one of the officers, and the man steps back. At first, he's surprised that he slips on some gloves from his pocket. You're saying you found her phone? He asks. Nate nods, and I would feel embarrassment for him if I was so pissed at his actions. Where did you find the phone? The officer asks. The floor, he replies, and I shoot a puzzled glance at Nate's back. I thought you said you found it on the couch, I blurt before I have a chance to think about it. The officer looks confused too, but Nate quickly clarifies. Right, it was on the floor, next to the couch. Sorry. The officer takes the phone in his hands. He gives Nate an indiscernible look before speaking again. Do you all mind if we ask each of you some questions? We all look around at each other and no one protests. I'll go first, Dad announces, and one of the officers takes him out of earshot. So it's just, hey Laura, it's just so convenient that Nate found her phone on the couch / on the floor next to the couch. Pin that. Chapter 6, Katrina. This situation is getting worse as the hours pass. At first, it was just the two cops who came to question us, but soon more cruisers pulled up and it feels like we each have our own personal officers to speak with. My mind is swimming as I'm taken aside by a female officer. I notice they have female officers talking to all the women and male officers talking to the men, while the extra officers are traveling in and out of the house as they examine the crime scene. Chills go down my spine at the thought of my sister's house becoming a crime scene. Crime scene. Katrina, did you say that? Katrina, did you say your name was? The officer says, and I blink to focus. Then yes, that's my name. She stares at me, and I study her as well. Officer Green is shorter than me. She's light skinned with a petite frame, and her hair is braided in a single braid that surrounds her face like a crown. It's a cute style, and under any normal circumstance, I would compliment her, but I remain silent. I need to ask you a few questions, Officer Green says, and I shift on my feet, wishing I could take off these stupid heels. Do your feet hurt? She asks as if she notices. If you could take your shoes, you could take your shoes off if you like. Relief floods my veins. I can. I have sneakers and socks in my car. She nods. Go ahead. Heels aren't a requirement. She giggles after she says that, and I take that as permission to loosen up and giggle too. I hobble over to my car and catch eyes with Troy, who shoots me a quizzical expression before returning his focus to the conversation with one of the male officers. Um, When I open my trunk, my nose tinges in emotion for a second. I stare down at the bedazzled white sneakers which I plan to wear on the dance floor at my sister's reception. The white socks with silver fringe are laying freshly beside them. They'll find her, I tell myself, and lean against the car with one hand while I remove one heel with the other hand, and I slide on a sock, then step into one of my sneakers. I do the same with the other foot, and now I'm finally comfortable, at least as comfy as I can be with my sister's disappearance hanging over my head. We don't know if she died. At this point, she's just been taken. What if they don't find her? My heart lurches with the question because I firmly disregard it. They're going to find Casey. She can't have gotten too far. I slam the trunk shut, then click my foot up to lock my doors. I walk back over to Officer Green, avoiding everyone else's eyes as I do so. I also drown out their chatter. Hearing all the side conversations is giving me a headache. Now that I have my sneakers on, Officer Green and I are almost the same height, but I'm still an inch or two taller than her. She smiles. Feel better? I nod, as best as I can feel at a time like this. Her face falters and she gives me a firm nod. Okay, let's begin. I take in a breath as she begins the questions, willing myself to answer as truthfully and honestly as I can, within reason, of course. How would you describe your relationship with your sister? That one catches me off guard, which is probably why she's asking the question first. I quickly realized that Officer Green is no dummy. She used that nice act with letting me put on my sneakers to get me to let my guard down. Let your guard down for what exactly? I ignored the thought and focused on her question. What do you mean? I answered with a question of my own. Do you two get along? I take a beat to respond, then give my answer with a shrug. Yeah, we get along fine, I guess. Lies, you're sleeping with her fiance. This is her inside voice. You guess, she repeats, and I shift my stance to my other foot. Yeah, we get along fine. I'm a bridesmaid at her wedding after all. Officer Green studies me, then proceeds to ask the next question. Can you think of any reason your sister might have abandoned her wedding? Push pause. I'm thinking about when she's gonna be like, "What was your whereabouts last night?" and how she has to lie about alibi because her alibi, she has a good alibi, but um, I got questions too. Put them in the comments. I'll read it. Um, Officer Green studies me and then proceeds to ask the next question. Can you think of any reason your sister might have abandoned her wedding? My jaw drops. Why are you asking that? There's blood in the kitchen. I'm aware of that, Officer Green says, but we have to cover all bases. I stare at her. No, I don't know any reason for her to ditch Troy. Her eyes widen at the mention of Troy. Crap, is Troy the groom? I nod, wordlessly feeling my neck tighten at her question. How would you describe your sister's relationship with him? This is bad. Why am I suddenly so nervous? Well, I know why, but the better question is, can Officer Green see it? I'm fighting to keep my poker face, but I feel like I'm failing miserably. They're cool, I guess, I say with another shrug. As soon as I make the statement, I know I've said the wrong thing. You guess? She chuckles, a subtle threat in her tone, or am I just imagining that? Have you noticed any strange interactions between your sister and Troy lately? I open my mouth and close it. Then I will will myself to pull it together. No, I don't think so. Before she can question my response, I add more to it. They seem normal, nothing out of the ordinary. Officer Green nods and writes something in the tiny notepad she's carrying. How about you and your sister? I freeze. Didn't she just ask me that? Then I relax as I remember from the countless Law and Order episodes that I've watched that police ask the same question over and over all the time. I play it cool. Me and my sister are fine. No recent fights or anything? Another lie. Officer Green studies me a second longer, then goes in for a question I knew she was coming from with to begin with. When was the last time you saw your sister? I lick my lips. I muster my half-prepared response. That was a rehearsal party at the hotel we all stayed at last night. That was the last time I saw her. At the party, I clarify, hoping that I'm telling my final lie for the night. Officer Green hazel eyes narrow. Rehearsal party? She repeats. I nod and swallow. Yes, at Hotel Rialto. I say, my heart sinking with another realization. We were all there. I gestured towards the rest of the family. Officer Green processes what I just told her. Where did you go after the hotel party? We all stayed the night, I blurt out, and I can't get those words out fast enough. My heart is beating, wildly though, and not because of the answer to the question. We rented 2 floors. Officer Green noses a wrinkle. Was your sister staying at the hotel last night too? I nod. We all were, including the groom. I nod again, forcing a natural expression. Did your sister drive her own car to the hotel for the party? I swallowed and nod once more. She cocks her head to the side. Then how did her car end up here? I let out a breath, then shake my head. I have no idea. First truthful answer of the night. Officer Green closed her notepad and slides a card from her pocket on the back of it. Thank you for answering my question, she replies, then hands me the card. If you think of anything else that may help us find your sister, give me a call. I swallow and nod, but my heart sinks further as she walks away. When answering the questions, I thought it was wise to not tell the whole story in case something did happen to my sister and the police used it against me as a suspect. But now that I just did all that lying to cover my tracks, I wonder if I made a huge mistake. Because the rehearsal party was not the last time I saw my sister. I saw her again later that night, alone, away from everyone else, and our final interactions was far from friendly. If you're just joining, we're reading The Bridesmaid by Tanisha Stewart. Chapter 7. Casey. Okay, we're getting the sister's point of view. Last night, I stumbled down the hotel hallway, crooning the song in my head and giggling every few steps as I repeatedly almost trip over my feet. Troy and Nate are suspects. This book is giving me trust issues already. do. Everyone thinks they can control me, but pretty soon they're all going to learn that I don't give a F. F my sister, Mother F Troy, F everyone, except maybe my parents. I love them to death. I continue to stumble, sliding my arm along the wall for balance. I'm so tipsy it's crazy. I hope I make it back to the right room. Crap, did I bring my key? I pat my pockets, then burst into a room set of giggles when I realize I have no pockets, but the key is in my hand. My phone is in my other hand, so I'm good either way. Plus, there's a whole elevator down to the lobby if I do get locked out. Where am I going again? I stand in the middle of the hallway assessing my surroundings. Then I remember I need ice. Do they have pills in the room? Dang, I hope so. Or at least a cup or something, because I don't feel like going all the way back down to my room to grab a container to fill. I reach the corner that leads to the ice room, and then I'm about to turn it when I bump into someone, ironically carrying ice. I start to giggle again when I notice a menacing expression on their face. F is wrong with you? I ask louder than necessary, but who gives a F? They won't try anything here. You really think you're cute, don't you? They say with a snarl, and I push around them. Like I said, no one is controlling me anymore. Before I can get more than 2 steps, however, pain explodes in the back of my head, and I topple to the floor. Did you hear me, Lil B? They say, and I turn around to see them leaning down on me. I can smell the alcohol on their breaths as they speak. Their faces inches from mine, and my mind is swimming. I hold the back of my head as I whimper in pain. You know what? F the BS, they say, and I stiffen as they quickly straighten their stance. Get up. I'm about to teach you a lesson. Chapter 8. Oh, we got another POV. Troy. I'm crafting bricks by the second. The only thought that keeps crossing my mind is that they always think that it's the boyfriend. In my case, the fiance. I can barely hold it together as Officer Gregory questions me about me and Casey's relationship. It's evident that he's sniffing for clues of my involvement and what happened to her, but I'm not giving him nothing to go off of, and I can help if I can help it. That is until I effed up and accidentally called my fiance by the wrong name. Officer Gregory had just asked me where I was last night. It should have been an easy question, but it's much more complicated than I can let on. No one can know what happened, not even Katrina. That's where I effed up thinking about Katrina because I answered, no, Katrina and I didn't see each other last night after the party. Two lies in one, because I dang sure spent the night with Katrina, and what's worse, the last time I saw Casey wasn't at the party. Officer Gregory eyes narrow. Katrina? He repeats. Casey. I quickly recover. I mean Casey. Sorry, their names are so similar. His eyes remain narrow, but he doesn't press me further with that line of questioning. Still, as he jots something in his notepad, I can't help but wonder if I just messed up in a major way. I wish I could see what he's writing. I move to lean closer, but of course he just looks up as I do, and then I step back, and now there's awkward silence between us. You good? He asks as I nod, beads of sweat peppering my forehead. He continues to study me. So you and Casey, he emphasizes her name as if to let me know he wasn't forgotten about the mix-up. Last saw each other at the party. I nod. Yes, at the party. Then never again, because the whole bad luck thing, women. I give off a brotherly scoff and eye roll, but Officer Gregory doesn't return the dresser. I swallow as flashes of what really happened between me and Casey last night runs through my mind, but I do my best to squelch them. What about Casey's relationship with her sister? My heart drops. Her sister? He nods. Katrina, I say, but as soon as I do, I realize I'm trying too hard to appear innocent and he clearly sees it. Yes, Katrina. He says slowly. How do Casey and Katrina get along? They're cool, I guess. You guess? I shrug. They're sisters, man. Female stuff. What kind of female stuff? He asks, his pen poised over his notepad as if he's ready to write down whatever I say as a response. I gulp. I'm clearly not the guy for the police questioning BS. Now I'm about to get Katrina in trouble on top of everything else I've already done to her. I try to stay away from any possible suspicion. I didn't mean anything by it. I say, but you mentioned it. He countered, yes, but only I'm getting hot under the collar and I know that he can see it. I rephrase. All I meant to say is that they are sisters. They have their ups and downs just like everyone else. Officer Gregory fixed me with a cool expression. Tell me about the downs. What kind of fights do they have? I rack my brain. Little stuff, man. Nothing like I said. They're sisters, I repeat. I wonder why I keep repeating that. Maybe it's a guilty conscience, considering the activities I've been up to. Officer Gregory shifts to another question. And how would you describe your relationship with Casey? I stalled for a second. My relationship? I say, pointing to myself. He nods, undeterred by my tactic. We were supposed to get married today. That doesn't exactly answer the question. Does anything more need to be said? If we were getting married, obviously we're good. Not necessarily. People get married for lots of reasons. We stare at each other. I don't like this guy. Officer Gregory is eyeing me like he knows something, but that's impossible, right? I shake it off with a sigh. Me and Casey are fine. He lingers for a few more moments before finally closing the stupid notebook and handing me a card. If you can think of anything else, let me know, he says, then walks away. I glare after him, getting the funny feeling that this won't be my last conversation with Officer Gregory, for more reasons than one. If you're just joining, we're reading not the patient, we read that yesterday, The Bridesmaid by Tanisha Stewart. Chapter 9, Troy. When the officers finally leave, I feel like I can breathe. We all stand in silence outside of Casey's house as they drive away. Once they're gone, I assume everyone will begin awkwardly making their way to their cars to go home. That is, until Nate turns to me, red-faced and furious. I hope you told him the truth, man. He huffs. I'm taken aback. First of all, because this weirdo is coming at me full of bravado, like I won't knock his head off his shoulders. And secondly, because I have no clue why he would even say that. What are you talking about, Nate? I ask, and that only makes Nate more upset. You know exactly what I'm saying, he says matter-of-factly. The family is staring between us like wondering why Nate is causing a scene. It's not really his place to even be here, and I wish I could say it, but then all hell will break loose. Nate is a friend of Casey's and Katrina's family, and if I had my choice, he wouldn't have even been invited to the wedding. I never liked the guy. Go ahead and tell him, Nate pressed. Tell him what? What you did last night, he says, and I freeze. At first, I thought Nate was starting a disagreement to take the heat off of him for what he did with Casey's cell phone, but now I'm caught like a deer in headlights. What exactly is he referring to about last night? It could be one of two things, and I hope it isn't the one that I'm thinking, because then I'll be in deep crap. I deflect. I don't know what you're talking about. I counter, then quickly follow with, but explain to me why you're here. Again, anyway, you're not family. You have no relationship to Casey and Katrina. The only reason I allowed you to be one of my groomsmen was because Casey begged me to. You're nothing but a family friend, and that's all you'll ever be. I'm twisting the knife as hard as I can because I need to divert Nate's attention. I know he's always been in love with Casey for years, but she was either too blind to see it or saw it but didn't care. Still, Nate sniffed around her like a puppy dog, likely waiting for the day I would F up so that he could come rushing in to pick up the pieces. Little does he know, however. Don't turn this on me, he thunders, and any nervousness returns. Any second he's going to say it. I know it. I just can't let it happen. Just get the F out. I scoff, pretending to be more upset than I am. Nobody wants or needs you here. This is my wife's family. I gesture towards myself for emphasis, trying my best to get under his skin so that he feels embarrassed and leave. But Nate isn't quickly swayed. I soon see. Your wife? He repeats with a brazen chuckle. If you're so concerned about your wife, he spits, why are you effing her sister? In less than 5 seconds for everyone to register Nate's words, and then all hell breaks loose. I don't know if Nate is suspect no more, but he definitely saw some stuff. Chapter 10, Troy. I'm driving towards my house, half anxious about what Nate announced would bring down on me, but also half relieved that he didn't mention the other thing that I did last night. If he mentioned that, it wouldn't be headed home. I'd be sitting in a jail cell. You know what? We might finish tonight if you don't mind staying up to 5 a.m. When I arrived at the house that Casey was set to move into after the honeymoon, I was struck with guilt and memory simultaneously. Casey and I didn't have the best relationship, and she still didn't deserve this. I'm not proud of what I did last night, but if I had known that all of this was going to happen, I would never. My mind travels down memory lane 2 months ago, the day that I walked into Casey's house with intentions of breaking off our engagement and pursuing Katrina full first. The problem was, I wasn't the only one with the announcement to make. Casey stands in the living room, arms crossed, her gaze piercing. Well, look who finally decided to show up, she says, her voice dripping with sarcasm. What do you want, Troy? I take a deep breath. Casey, we need to talk. I'm fed up with how you treat me. I want to break off the engagement. She scoffs, rolling her eyes. You can't do that. I can and I will, I say, turning towards the door. And 3 steps from freedom, when I hear the next words, she stops me cold. I'm pregnant. I turn around, shock rippling through me. What? She smirks, tossing a sonogram at me. I catch it, blinking back tears as I look at it. I'm not a doctor, but it's clear what I'm seeing. Casey's name is at the top, and the tiny blob in the picture is my child. Now I know that I'm tied to her for life. Yeah, I'm having your baby, Troy, she taunts. What was that you said about breaking up with me again? I'm trying to put a brave front. We can co-parent. I'm still leaving. I turn back to go, but her voice stops me again. If you walk out that door, you will never see your son or daughter. I will make sure of it. I feel trapped like I have no choice. I don't want Casey, but I will never abandon my son or daughter. I kick myself for staying with this woman as long as I have. Why didn't I break up with her long ago? We have never been compatible, and the only reason we got together in the first place was... Never mind that. I need to see if she will level with me. Maybe if I lay it out loud for her, she'll let me go. Casey, I say with a sigh, why are you doing this? You know things haven't been working out between us for a long time. Why not just end it amicably so we can go our separate ways? Her arms are crossed. You think I'm going to give you my blessing to leave me for my sister? I see how you look at her when you think no one is looking, Troy. I'm taken aback by her perceptiveness. How does she know about me and Katrina? Obviously, she doesn't know everything about us because Katrina and I have done a lot more than just look at each other. But still, what am I supposed to do? Why are you doing this? I repeat, feeling weaker by the second. Casey doesn't answer my question. Instead, what if Casey planned her own... I don't want to think that she planned her own kidnapping to get them caught up, but anything's possible. Casey doesn't answer my question. Instead, she says, you and I need to find a way to work this out for our child. Her expression is etched in stone. There is no getting through to her, at least not today. I leave her house in defeat and then try again a week later to break up with her, figuring we both had the chance to cool down. Maybe she's had time to think about it and realize it's ridiculous of her to try to hold me hostage. No such luck. Once again, Casey refuses to see reason and repeats her threat about not letting me see my child. I wrestled with what to do since that night, and then I finally hatched a plan, except now that the plan might have led me out to the frying pan and into the fire. Last night, I thought what I did was foolproof, but if what I think happened, I'm in big trouble. Chapter 11, Troy. I make it inside my house and close the door before sinking into the floor. Casey and Katrina's parents cursed me out before hurling accusations in my face and banishing me from their presence. Katrina stood there like a deer in headlights while my parents attempted to break up the altercation that almost ensued between me and Nate. Katrina's parents expressed that they never want to see me again, rightfully so, because I spent the night before my wedding to one of their daughters effing the brains out of their other daughter. Now that I had time to sit down and reflect on my actions, I feel like a piece of crap. Yet still, why didn't they feel the need to bring that stuff up in front of everyone? And if you already knew what was going on between me and Katrina, why choose now to say something? Why not confront me in private? The more that I think about it, the more I question how he handled the situation. What could his motives be? It dawns on me that Nate bringing up me and Katrina isn't the only thing he did say today that was questionable. He also wiped down Casey's phone after allegedly finding it by the couch. Anyone with bricks for brains knows you don't touch evidence from a crime scene, much less wipe it down, unless you have something to hide. I think for a long time about whether I remember seeing Casey's phone when we walked into her house. When we first got there, Casey's parents were the first to walk in, followed by Nate. Now that I remember it, he pushed past me to get inside before he did. He pushed past me to get inside before I did. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, but why would he do such a thing? I walked in next, followed by my parents and Edgar and Jocelyn. I strained to remember, but I can't place whether I saw the phone by the couch. I was immediately distracted by the broken lamp and glass on the floor. Then when Casey's mom saw the blood, everyone was fixated on that for a while. Once Katrina came in, we snapped out of our stupor and I called the police, but I can't remember seeing that phone. Was it there like Nate said, or could he possibly have brought it with him? I shudder at the later prospect. Nate's a big guy, tall and bulky. He could have easily, I think of the blood on the counter and the floor. If Nate wanted to. Hey, Stefan. I considered the possibility and I wanted to believe it despite my dislike for the guy, but the more I considered his obvious attraction for Casey, while she gave him no play, then the dynamic with me effing both sisters at once before I was set to marry the one he wanted, maybe Nate tried to say something to Casey last night. Maybe the conversation didn't go how he hoped. Maybe. I can't think about this. I need a beer and I'm starving. Plus, I want to call Katrina, but I know that I can't because I don't know how she feels about me. Her family is probably laying into her now that I'm gone. Way to go, Nate. I go through the rest of my day getting drunk and stuffing my face with party-sized pizza until I pass out on the couch. Next scene. The next morning, I'm awakened by a knock on my front door. Groaning, I roll over, forgetting I'm on the couch, until my body hits the floor. Crap! I murmur as the knocking persists. I struggle to my feet, dizziness consuming me for the moment, then a pain of headache sears my skull. Dang! I grunt, then approach the door to answer it. Who is it? I call out in a cross fashion, hoping it's not the police. I'm not prepared to tell any more lies, and I don't think that I can handle another line of questioning. It's me. My dad's voice comes through the other side of the door. I stand there awkwardly for a few moments, contemplating whether I want to have a conversation with him at this hour. What time is it anyway? The sun is blasting through my blinds, so I assumed it must be at least late morning or early afternoon. But regardless of what time it is, I don't want to talk to my father. Troy, he says in a confused tone, obviously wondering why I haven't opened the door yet. I give a sigh and unlock it, then crack it open. Dad, it's not a good time right now. I look him up and down, and Dad appears refreshed and dressed casually, like he's about to go out with his golfing buddies or something. He's wearing khakis, sneakers, and a blue sweater. His eyes are bright and alert, like he's been up for hours. He studies me for the second, then purses his lips before speaking. Troy, I think you should let me in. I don't want to. I don't want to talk to him about last night and hear him tell me about how much of embarrassment I am to him and my mother. I've always been their biggest source of disappointment, and Nate's outburst from yesterday probably took the cake. I sigh and fight the urge to roll my eyes before letting my dad in. Once the door is closed, he launches right into it. Listen, I think that you should leave town. His words catch me off guard. I blink rapidly before scrunching my face in confusion. Huh? Dad slipped form a straight line. Things don't look good, son. With the way everything went down yesterday, this might be the only option to save you from jail time. Jail time? I repeat, struggling to catch up with what my dad is saying. His eyes narrow like he pities my lack of intelligence. Do I need to lay it out for you? You got exposed. You can't F one sister while marrying another. Then the sister you are married coincidentally goes missing the day of your wedding. Dad words hit me like a sucker punch to the gut. You think I'm guilty? My tone is laced with disbelief. An eerie silence falls between us before Dad says, Are you? I stammer in my response. How could you? Why do you think that I would do something to Casey? Dad responds by pulling a manila envelope out of the inner pocket of his jacket. He opens the envelope and slides out a thin piece of paper along with a wad of cash. It's a one-way flight to Cuba, he explains. They can't extradite you from there. You can take the cash, start over, and Dad, what the F are you talking about? I yell, not believing what he's saying to me. I'm trying to save my effing son. He thunders, his nostrils flaring. You made a stupid decision, and now you're about to pay for it. I didn't do anything. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. He says hotly, what matters is that the picture is already painted. The girl's parents will have it out for you. Nate will be their star witness. Katrina might try to help you, but nobody's going to believe her anyway because of the infidelity. Come on, Troy. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you here. My mind is reeling with all of the words my father's throwing at me. It's like he's already washed his hands of the situation, like he's already done with me. From his eyes, I can tell that he's probably thinking that I'm guilty of whatever happened to Casey. My heart sinks at this realization. My own dad doesn't believe in me. He thinks so lowly of me that he believes that I would actually hurt Casey. But you didn't, though, my mind accuses before I obliterate the thought. Child, Dad ready to save his boy. He came over there with plane tickets and cash. He's like, you need to leave town. Chapter 12. Troy. I think I'm going to leave. Dad tried to strong arm me into packing my bags that instant, but I ended up kicking him out. I don't think I'll ever shake the look of disappointment he gave me when he walked out of the door. His last words to me were that offer was still open, but I needed to make a decision soon. While he was here, we were arguing. I vehemently disagreed with his logic because how dare he accuse me of something that heinous. I get that I made my mistakes in the past, but I've never done anything of this magnitude. But you, my mind starts, but I push it away again. Guilt is creeping up within me, and sooner or later I need to come clean to someone. But it for dang sure won't be the police. That will only cause them to throw the book at me. I'm not going down for this, but you, to distract myself, I rush over to the coffee table and pick up my phone. As dumb as it sounds, and I can already see the look on my father's eyes if he knew what I was about to do next, I need to talk to Katrina. She's my voice of reason. She always has been. It's my fault we are in this predicament. If I hadn't gotten tangled up with Casey, Katrina and I could have been the ones getting married yesterday. Should I tell her what I did? I think I should, but I don't want her perception of me to be tainted more than it already is. I think about our fight at the hotel yesterday morning. She thought that I wasn't listening to her pleas, not knowing that I had already constructed a plan to be with her. But now my plan is ruined, and instead of solving our problems, it only created more. Tears fill my eyes. Why can't I ever do anything right? Blinking away my emotions, I take a deep breath to find my text thread with Katrina. As my fingers type out the message I'm sending, I feel even lower than dirt, but I can't stop. I need to know what she's thinking, see how she's feeling. Hey, how are you holding up? I figure this way will help me test the waters. If she writes back, I'll know she still feels something. If she doesn't respond, I'm screwed. My mind travels to the ticket. Could I really leave her behind with no notice? After everything we've been through, it's obvious in my best interest, but what about Katrina? I've already broken her heart by not stepping up to the plate and coming clean like I should have. Then when she found out that Casey was pregnant, that was another look of hurt and disappointment that I would never be able to get out of my mind. It was as if her entire world was shattered. I almost wished I hadn't told her, but I knew that I had to. She needed to know why I couldn't leave Casey. Katrina writes back, "It's awful, Troy. I don't know what to do." Despite feeling the ultimate failure, the fact that Trina didn't curse me out in her message makes me feel hopeful. If she's not mad at me, maybe we can still work something out. Maybe. I text her back. Can we talk? I hold my breath as I wait for her response. Technically, we're talking now through the text message, but she knows that I mean. I need to see her in person. I need to feel her. She's the only person who understands me, who sees the good in me rather than my flaws. So you already been outed out as sleeping with her, and you want to meet up with her to go talk? Like, I'm with the dad. Is you dumb or is you dumb? I I don't think I don't know, Troy. Do you think it's a good idea? No, it's not a good idea. It's a stupid idea. I tensed. It is a bad idea, but I still needed to see her. Just for a little bit, I need to see you. I want to see you too. Then come, or I can come to you. What if someone sees us? I paused. She's making a good point, but they already know everything anyway. 3 minutes passed. Troy, I know, baby, but I just need to see your face. 5 more minutes. Then, okay, but catch a ride or something. We don't need to cause any more drama. I'm already ordering a ride before I finish reading her message. The fact that she still wants to see me lifts a huge burden off my chest. Maybe Katrina can help me figure out what to do. My dad is already ready to ship me out of the country, but he's never liked me. Katrina loves me. She will steer me in the right direction. My ride is here within 10 minutes. Time to see the love of my life. Chapter 13. Katrina. As I sit waiting for Troy to arrive, I teeter between resolve and indecision. I know it's a stupid idea to have him come here, especially after everything that happened yesterday and all of my parents and Nate said once Troy and his parents left. Even Edgar and Jocelyn seemed convinced that Troy had something to do with Casey's disappearance, though neither of them came out and said it. This is a big mess. Still, I can't shake the need to see him. Troy is the only man I've ever loved, and before everything happened yesterday, I was hanging on to a shred of hope that things might still work out between us. It was a silky hope. I knew because if Troy and Casey got married, it meant that they would live together and we would barely be able to see each other anymore. Once their baby was born, it would be even worse. My teeth clenched with anger at the thought of the baby. When Troy revealed the news, it broke me. I had been living a fairy tale land, thinking one day that he would snap out of it and break up with her so she could resume our relationship. But once Troy confessed that he had gotten her pregnant, my world was shattered. I wish I would never make the mistake I made that led me to Troy's breakup in the first place. I don't want to allow my mind to go back to that time, but now that the wound is open, I can't help it. Troy and I were dating 3 months, and things were getting serious between us. I never believed in love at first sight until I met him. We'd been dating less than a week before I knew that he was the one. Instead of embracing this feeling, I ran from it. I was afraid because I'd been with guys who hurt me before. Even though I never saw any of them as the one, their betrayal still cut deep. So I ran from the prospect of settling down with Troy. I started petty fights and would break up only to have hot, heavy makeup sex a few days later. I couldn't understand why he wouldn't just leave me like everyone else had. I talked to him crazy, belittled him every chance I got, and even downplayed his bedroom skills to hit him where it hurt. But he kept coming back. Finally, I committed the ultimate betrayal. After an argument between me and Troy, I went out and slept with a random guy. At first, I was going to rub it in his face the next time we would argue, but I started feeling bad about it. Troy had only treated me with the respect during our time together, and almost every argument we had was started by me. What was I running from? Maybe I needed to see where things went with this man instead of rejecting him to try to get him before he got me. I resolved to settle down and give in to being with him, and things went well for another month. Everything was ruined when Troy invited me out with some of his boys, and I faced reality. The random guy I slept with was Troy's cousin. I didn't want to tell him the truth, but I knew I had to. The problem was I took my time, and by the time I mustered up the courage, Troy called me one day and reamed me out, saying his cousin had told him what happened. I didn't need to see his face to know that I hurt him. This twisted the dagger in my gut because now that I had hurt him, I had confirmation of how he really felt about me. Unfortunately, Troy didn't give me the chance to make things up to him. He broke up with me and said that he never wanted to see me again. I tried calling, but he blocked me. Then, in a cruel twist of fate, he ended up with Casey. I couldn't believe my eyes when Casey brought home her latest boy toy, and it was Troy. The smug smile he gave me let me know that he pursued her on purpose. You know what? I almost felt sorry for him for a second, but he got himself into this. I mean, hurt people. That's all I gotta say. I couldn't believe my eyes when. Okay, None of the family knew about me and Troy because I never told them. Although I was appalled that he was with my sister, I was never my parents' favorite daughter, so they didn't inquire much about my relationship status anyway. They already had enough to keep up with, when it came to Casey's revolving door of suitors. They all just messy. My family probably never believed that I would be the type to settle down, get married, and have kids. So instead of making a scene and saying that Troy was my ex and he was likely dating Casey to get back at me for sleeping with his cousin, I told myself I could handle it, but I couldn't. When I excused myself during our family dinner to go to the bathroom and cry, Troy seemed to notice my anguish. When I returned to the table, his expression was softer, his words more kind. Despite this, Troy continued to see my sister. At first, I tried to play it off like it didn't bother me, and even dated other guys to get back at him, but as every one of those things fizzled and Troy and Casey remained together, I felt like a dang fool. Then I told myself that I would get over him. Although I had feelings for him, he obviously didn't feel the same for me. He was still with my sister, and if he simply did this to make me jealous, he could have broken up with her easily. But would I take him back after doing something like that? As shameful as it sounds, the answer would probably be yes. Everyone would probably look at me like some kind of homewrecker even if I told the full story, but I couldn't shake my feelings for Troy. He would come to family events all the time, and my sister would tote him as her keeper. But when no one was looking, Troy's eyes were on me. The chemistry between us was so strong that I was surprised no one else seemed to suspect it. The only night it happened, we had a Christmas party where we all got so drunk that no one wanted to drive home, so we all slept over my parents' house. Troy and Casey slept in Casey's old bedroom while I went to mine. Troy stumbled into my bedroom after 2 in the morning, claiming he lost his way back from the bathroom. I should have pushed him away, but I couldn't. It was all as if the dam had been broken and all of my prior feelings for him came rushing back in. Before I knew it, our clothes were mysteriously gone and Troy's soft lips and hands were all over my curvaceous body that needed him as much as he desired mine. The night passed by like a whirlwind that I never wanted to end. The next morning, Troy was already back in my sister's room with her and no one seemed to be the wiser. But Troy and I had a problem, and the problem only continued to fester the longer he and Casey stayed together. If you're just joining, we're reading The Bridesmaid by Tanisha Stewart. Katrina. I spent so much time traveling down memory lane I almost forgot that I was waiting for Troy to arrive. When he knocks on the door, I jump back to the present, but I feel unprepared to see him. What are we supposed to say to each other? When we were sneaking around, we talked about him possibly leaving Casey, but that was before she got pregnant and they got engaged. I shouldn't have kept sleeping with him. Troy knocked again and I walked over to open the door. He needs to get inside before anyone sees him. When we see each other, the hunger is evident in his eyes. It matches what I'm feeling in my heart. Baby, he says, and I snatch him inside, closing the door behind him as he roughly takes me into his arms and we start kissing. The kiss is long and forceful. Then he pulls back, his anxiety seeming calm. I missed you, he whispered. I miss you too, but this is a big mess. We kiss again, and then he studies me. I know, that's partially what I came to talk to you about. Huh? I snap out of my stupor. What does he mean? Troy's pupil danced back and forth like they did yesterday. My dad stopped by after the blow up. He thinks that I should leave town. My jaw drops. Leave town for what? Troy's eyes water, but the tears don't fall. He blinks. He believes that I had something to do with Casey. At the mention of my sister's name, shame rips through me. What are we doing? My sister is missing, and the only thing I can think of is jumping her fiance's bones. My eyes cloud as I think of how big of a disgrace I am to the family. No wonder they never put much stock in me. Stealing my little sister's man. What's wrong with me? Granted, Troy and I were together before he and Casey met, but still, Casey didn't know that, and neither did my parents. I'm filthy, dirty, a WHORE. Despite these feelings, I can't let go of Troy. Katrina, he touches my shoulder and I swallow, then gently grab his hand to pull it off of me. What does your father think you did? Why does your father think you did something? Troy stares at me. Don't you? I huff. No, Troy. I know you didn't do anything to her. You were with me. My voice trails off as I think about what happened between me and Casey the night of the rehearsal party. It happened in a blur, and the guilt is eating at me, especially after seeing all the blood on her kitchen floor. What if our last interaction was the last time I'll see my sister? Again, I ask myself what I'm doing. Katrina, Troy prompts me, and I realize I'm drifting off again. I shake my head. No, Troy, I enforce my earlier statement. I know you didn't do anything to her. Like I said, we were together. I look down at the floor, wishing it would swallow me. What do you think I should do? Troy asks. My father's convinced that your parents will have it out for me. He thinks that if something happened to her, I'll be the primary suspect. I didn't do it, but I don't want to go to prison, Katrina. As he's speaking, I'm staring into his eyes and I notice something. Troy pupils keep dancing and he only does that when he's hiding something. What could it be? A sickening feeling fills my gut. Then a memory resurfaced. At one point during the night, we took a nap, and when I woke up, Troy wasn't in the room. I drifted off again and was awakened by him opening the hotel room door. When I questioned him about where he had been, he said that he had gone to the bathroom. I knew it wasn't true, but I didn't fight him on it because I was more focused on spending one last night with him before he married my sister. I never would have considered. No. I stepped back from Troy, shock flooded my veins. Now that memory has come to me, I'm looking at him with a new set of eyes. What? Troy asked, shifting in his stance. What is it? Why you step away? My vision blurs and I clap a hand over my mouth. What did you? Before I could finish my question, a knock sounds at the door. Our jaws drop simultaneously when we whip our heads towards the source of the sound. Who is it? Troy whispers as an icy feeling travels down my spine. The knock is light, but it happens again. Who could it be? The police? I ask myself more than Troy. Troy is trembling with fear. This only adds to the suspicion feeling growing inside me, but I try not to jump to conclusions. Hide in the bathroom, I let out in a yell whisper. I'll get the door. Troy hurries off, and when he's safely inside, I walk over to the door to answer it, try my best to appear casual. When I open it, however, I get the shock of my life. Chapter 15, Katrina. I stare down at the eerily familiar little girl who is standing in front of me. She's swaying her body side to side and staring up at me with a look of expectation in her eyes. Her tiny fingers are clasping the belt of a pink unicorn backpack like she's just been dropped off to daycare. Who is this little girl, and why is she at my doorstep? I'm completely dumbfounded. I scan the street, looking for anyone who could have left her, but there are no cars. I stare back at the girl, taking in more of her appearance. She's wearing her hair in a braided pigtails with pretty little blue and white bows that match her dress. Her feet are adorned with Mary Janes and the white socks that are folded with lace on the tips. What the H is going on here? I open my mouth to say something, but the little girl beats me to it. TT, she says as her smile grips my heart while confusion swirls through me. TT, as in auntie? Why is she calling me that? My eyes widen more as I notice the uncanny resemblance between this little girl and Casey. But that can't be right. Casey, can you play Kids Bop? She asks, strangely articulate for a child who could be no more than 5 years old. I kneel to her level. What's your name? I ask. When she says Casey, I almost have a heart attack. Casey, I repeat, wondering if it's an illusion or if I'm stuck in a weird nightmare. She nods, just like Mommy. Just like Mom? This is wild. I don't know what to do. A little girl is standing on my porch out of nowhere, claiming her name is Casey and her mother's name is Casey too. Is this a prank? I scan the neighborhood again, halfway expecting my sister to pop out of the bushes laughing about how she got me good. But even Casey wouldn't pull a stunt like this, or at least I don't think she would. But the more that I look at the little girl, the more I see the resemblance between her and my sister. But when though, and how? I take a step back, heart pounding in my ears. I need to do something, but I feel like I'm stuck. I scan the street once more, but of course, no one is out there to give an explanation of how this child ended up on my doorstep. Who is she? Where did she come from? She says her name is Casey and she looks just like my sister, but that's impossible because Casey doesn't have any kids. I'm confused too. Maybe she a patient at the psych ward and she still, I can't leave this kid standing on my doorstep. What if she's telling the truth and somehow she is Casey's daughter? I don't know how that could be possible, but I need to find out. Come in, I say, and the little girl reaches up to grab my hand. I swallowed as I grasped her tiny fingers. This is surreal. I close the door behind us, then, as if in a trance, I lead her to my living room, navigating to YouTube so that she can watch Kids Bop while I figure out what the H is going on. Can I see your backpack? I asked, thinking there must be clues in there. If she has anything inside, it may be give me an indication of where she came from. The girl takes off her backpack and hands it to me before scooting up directly in front of the TV to watch Kids Bop. I open my mouth to tell her that she's sitting too close and that she might damage her eyes, but reality hits me again. What the H is happening? I quickly unzip her backpack and there are two things inside. One is a smiling photo of Casey and the little girl sitting in front of my TV, and the other is a birth certificate. I swallow as I read the birth certificate. It doesn't look fresh, so it was probably purchased around the same time she was born. Casey is 3 years old. Per the date of the birth listed, her birthday is 2 days before mine. The mother is listed as Casey, my sister, but the father's name is not listed. My mouth gapes open at what is happening. My sister has a 3-year-old child. How could you have possibly given birth with no one knowing? And who? He courses through my body. Troy, I yell through gritted teeth. My sudden outburst causes Casey to flinch, but I don't have time to comfort her. This mother effer has a lot of explaining to do. Troy emerges from the bathroom and looks at me, then his eyes travel to Casey. By now, her focus has shifted from the TV to what's going on behind her. When Troy and Casey's eyes meet, it's as if he's seen a ghost. Chapter 16, Katrina. I fight to keep calm, though I have a funny feeling I'm going to lose the battle. Is there something you want to explain to me? I manage struggling to maintain my composure. Troy looks from me to Casey, then back to me. Who is this? Don't play stupid with me, Troy. Daddy! Casey slowly rises to her feet as if unsure. At the sound of her voice, Troy's eyes widen like she's about to freak out. That was all I needed. However, she called him Daddy, which means they know each other. He's been lying to me, hiding a whole love child from me and the rest of my family. But how and why? Eyes clouded with tears, I say, so now I know why it took you so long to break up with her. Troy's mouth flapped open before his words formed. Katrina, no. I hold up a hand. Secrets out, Troy. You and Casey can tell the world now. What do I care if you have a kid out of wedlock? It's obvious I never meant anything to you anyway. Pain rises to the base of my throat and I can barely breathe. I can't see straight. All I keep thinking about is this little girl who apparently my niece and my sister's good for nothing piece of crap fiance who was sleeping with me for practically their whole relationship while managing a whole nother family on the side with her. I've been a dang fool. Katrina, Troy says, I promise you, I don't know what's happening. He's still staring between me and Casey as he speaks. If it wasn't obvious of what he has been doing behind my back, I would believe the deer in headlights act he's putting on. Get out, Troy. No, Katrina, I'm serious. Troy is standing his ground as if he's telling the truth. I can't believe him. Are you kidding me? I don't want to hold an argument in front of my niece, who I never would have met, but I can't hold back the raw emotion I'm feeling. She has your eyes, Troy. Casey looks afraid, like she's about to cry. Instinctively, I want to reach out for her, but I feel out of place. How can my sister do such a thing? Do my parents know about this? I shake my head. There's no way they know. Then it dawns on me. This is another one of my sister's BS shenanigans. She pulled this stunt as a way to reveal to the family that she had a baby out of wedlock. 3 years. Casey, what the F is wrong with you? The more I think about it, the more I realize this is exactly something my sister would do if she made a mistake. The part I'm still wrapping my mind around is why Troy would go along with it. I whip out my phone to call my sister, but of course her phone goes straight to voicemail. The gig is up, Casey, I say in a bitter tone. Your secret is out. You can come to my house now and we can deal with this. I end the call after leaving my voice message, but of course Casey doesn't call back. Then I remember the police have her phone, so she wouldn't have received the message anyway. Child, I'm so confused. Although I'm infuriated that my sister would hold a secret of this magnitude, I'm partly relieved that this was all her disappearance was about. Just Casey being Casey as usual. Right. Hey, her daughter appears to be well cared for, judging from the neatness of her clothes and her hair and how articulate she is when speaking. But why would my sister hide her from us? She would have told us Troy got her pregnant. She's a grown woman. Aside from my parents yelling at her and me being heartbroken, what was anyone going to do? I'm about to call Casey again when I think better of it. Since her phone is with the cops, she obviously left me to be the one to tell the parents to tell the secret to my parents, and then maybe she'll come waltzing in once everyone's anger dies down. This is ridiculous. Why would she leave me to do her dirty work? Maybe she knew about me and Troy and she did this to get back at me. I cringe at the thought because if that's true, she hits me where it hurts the most. TT. Casey still looks scared. Her lower lip is trembling. What is it, honey? I asked. Then it occurs to me that she knows me despite of us never meeting. How does she know that I'm her aunt? The question burns within me, but it's not like I can ask a child. I'm hungry, she announces, and that caught me off guard for a second time of the day. Although I'm going to strangle my sister when I see her, I'm not about to let my niece starve. I can't help but keep staring at her as I ask, want some cereal? She nods, grabbing her hand. I lead her to the kitchen as Troy follows. Like he's still there, go somewhere. I want to curse him out, then kick him to the curb, but I still don't want to cause a scene in front of Casey. It gotta be. Troy watches as I fix her a bowl of cereal, then I prop up some pillows on a chair so she can reach the table. I'll need to grab a booster seat. My thoughts halt as another wave of what is happening to me. My sister has a 3-year-old child that she told no one about. Suddenly, I feel the need to call my parents. Watch her for a second, I say to Troy, which I shouldn't have to do since he's her father. I don't, he starts, but I stalk back into the living room so that he has no choice. My mom answers the second ring. Hello? She sounds exhausted. There is activity around her that she's like she's outside or something. I hear the people talking and someone yelling in the distance. Mom, what's going on? She sighs as if she's speaking to me, exasperates her. Your father and I have been searching for your sister all morning along with Nate and Edgar. Jocelyn had to fly back home. My breath catches in my throat. What? You formed a search party? Of course we did, she snaps. Why wouldn't we? If your sister is missing. The police said we had to wait for them, I say, swallowing my hurt. I can't believe my family organized a search party without me. I'm not waiting for the police when Casey could be anywhere. She's borderline hysterical, and I don't blame her. I'd be hysterical too if I didn't know that all the drama was for nothing. This is yet another case of my sister doing silly stuff for attention. Mom, you can call off the search party, I say, shoulder slumping as I speak. What do you mean, call off the search party? Have you seen Casey? Where is she? Why would she reach out to you before me? Mom words hit me like an avalanche, and she sounds so accusatory I want to hang up the phone. But once she knows what I know, her anger will undoubtedly be redirected towards Casey. Mom's going to be pissed when she finds out what her golden child's done. I worded my response carefully. I haven't heard from Casey, but I think you and Dad should come to my house. There's something you need to see. Chapter 17. If you're just reading, If you're just joining, we're reading The Bridesmaid. Troy. I'm staring at the little girl who has set my world on edge in a matter of minutes when Katrina bursts back into the kitchen. My parents are on their way, she announces, barely looking at me. She studies Casey, then looks back at me, which means you need to leave. My mouth drops open. You want me to leave? Katrina, don't you think that we should have a conversation? There's no conversation to be had, Troy. You did what you did, and now we have to pick up the pieces. My mouth struggles to form words, and when it finally does, they come out in a frustrated tone. I'm just as much in the dark about this as you. I have no idea what's happening. I look at Casey, then at Katrina as I speak to let her know that I'm serious. I'm telling the truth. I have no idea that Casey apparently had a daughter, judging from the birth certificate Katrina thrust into my hands as she led the girl into the kitchen. She's 3 years old, which means she was born around me and Casey's first anniversary. We've been together for 4 years. I know the situation looks bad, and if I were an outsider, I would believe that I was lying too, but I need Katrina to believe me. I swear to you, I start, but she's not hearing it. This little girl is an actor, and she good at it. They'll be here in a minute, she urges. Come on, I don't want any more trouble. I don't think I could take it. Her eyes fill up, and I want to comfort her, but I can't. There's going to be trouble no matter how we slice it. Casey has a daughter, and all fingers pointing to me being the father, but I knew nothing about this child. I admit she does have some of my features, but that means nothing. Could Casey have kept something like this from me for 3 years? Obviously, she could have, and did since the child is sitting in front of me eating a bowl of Goleen. But still, this is wild. I think I should stay, I say with a sigh. Maybe your parents get here, we can figure out what's going on. Katrina looks at me like I'm crazy. That's not a good idea, Troy. I can tell from her expression she doesn't believe me, but we don't have time to fight any longer because another knock sounds on Katrina's door. She looks at me with a nervous expression. I'm nervous too because I know we're not on the same page, and if our parents come barging in, there's bound to be drama. I should have left like she suggested, but now it's too late. I grip the top of the kitchen chair while Casey continues to eat her cereal. Then, less than a minute later, Katrina's mom and dad enter the room. They're not alone. Nate and Edgar also walk in the room along with Jeff, and Katrina's mom's jaw hits the floor when she sees baby Casey. She looks between my supposed daughter and Katrina. What's going on? Katrina sniffles. Then, with a trembling hand, she holds out the birth certificate. Her mom snatches it and her eyes widen as they pour over the page. She turns to Katrina's father, who looks equally dumbfounded. He scans the paper briefly before glaring at me. You didn't have the decency to sign it? He asks, were you even there when she was born? My mouth grows dry as Nate lets out a rough chuckle. I knew you were a jerk, but this is a new low, he scoffs. I want to knock his head off his effing shoulders, but it's not the time or the place. I hold my hands up to Katrina's parents to try to explain, while poor Casey looks like she's about to pee her pants with all of the adults in the room. I swear to you, I had no idea about this. I plead with her parents to believe me, but it's evident that they don't. Nobody here was born yesterday, Troy, Nate says, and he's really starting to get under my skin. Why the H is he still here? I get that he grew up with the family, but he's not blood related. They need to display some boundaries with this guy, especially after what he did with Casey's phone. I keep my cool, though, standing my ground by ignoring Nate's remarks and focusing on the Johnsons, who I still have great respect for despite what happened. Katrina's father speak up. Look, we don't know where my daughter is, and we pray we find her soon, but we need you to step up to the plate and stop acting like a child. Troy, it's clear as day this baby is yours. Why did you get my daughter pregnant if you weren't going to take care of the child? I didn't, I let out while stepping forward before Nate swings an arm out to stop me. Before I can process what I'm doing, I swing on him, and it's an all-out brawl. Women are screaming, baby Casey is crying loudly, and it takes all the rest of the men to pull us apart. He started that stuff, I thunder, pointing an accusatory finger at Nate. Nate swipes his bleeding lip. You've wreaked enough havoc. You've wreaked enough havoc in this family in the last 24 hours. Why don't you get out of here? I can't believe my ears. I'm about to say something more, but Katrina, who's holding a crying Casey in her arms, says, Troy, just leave. We'll figure this out later. I study her eyes and I could tell what she's thinking, what she's feeling. The stony expressions from everyone else in the room let me know that I should leave. Jeff and Edgar leave with me. Bro, what the F happened in there? Jeff says, and Edgar asks, why didn't you answer your phone earlier? We were trying to get a hold of you for the search party. Edgar and Jeff are my friends. I ignored them earlier today because my mind was on Katrina, but now I realize how guilty I must look in their eyes. I swear I knew nothing about that kid. Edgar's eyes soften. I believe you. We look at Jeff and he nods too. Effed up way to find out, huh? I shake my head. You have no idea? F that though. I still get a DNA test, Jeff says. I nod, though that thought that hadn't occurred to me. No doubt. That's the first thing I'm doing. Since I don't have my car with me, Edgar drives me home and he and Jeff hang with me until I cool down. While they were with me, I felt like I had a clear plan for how to move forward. Once they left, however, I felt like a lost puppy. Now let me find out that Casey then probably had a way to get his sperm, get her egg, and impregnate this lady to have a baby. That would be too much for revenge. I don't know. We gonna read 40 more pages, but I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm not gonna be up to 5 in the morning with y'all today. This book is 200 pages. Chapter 18, Katrina. My mind is scrambling. I don't know what to believe. Troy keeps claiming How would she be pregnant and he didn't know? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like it would have to be a liberated plan. Like she got his sperm and she got her eggs and she had a surrogate on the side. Like it's a lot. Um, my mind is scrambling. I don't know what to believe. Troy keeps claiming he had no idea about Casey, and I want to believe him. And then also, if she was pregnant, wouldn't her friends and family know too? Like the way that she talks is like her and her sister and her parents are in good terms. I don't think there's no way. I mean, maybe for like the first few months, but like I don't think there was no way she could hide a 9 month pregnancy and like they not know. Um, Troy keeps claiming he had no idea about Casey, and I want to believe him. But how could he have not known? Same way you didn't know, my mind offers, but I can't believe it. Casey couldn't have hidden this baby from all of us, could she? Someone had to have known. And where's my sister? She has to know her secret is out now. She can come from wherever she's been hiding and explain to us why she kept Casey away from the family for 3 years. Casey, honey, I say amidst the kind of copy that interrupted upon Troy's departure. I kneel to her level, feeling bad for the little girl who was thrust into the middle of this family drama. If Troy was telling the truth, the first time she's met her father was when he was in the middle of a brawl with a family friend. And what the H is up with Nate lately? I glanced at him before focusing back on Casey. While the ruckus was ensuing, my instinct was to take Casey away from it, so I picked her up and stepped away while the men broke up Nate and Troy. That helped, though the little girl was still terrified from the altercation. She clung to me until they left, and I put her back into her seat with everything calmed down. My parents still look shell shocked and Nate is seething. I have half a mind to tell him to leave because he did start the fight between him and Troy, but I don't want to put the spotlight back on myself. My parents adore Nate. They always have. He's been hanging around our family since he was a young boy and we sort of adopted him. He's eaten dinner with us, gone to family events and vacations. He's witnessed so many things that he might as well be family. I train my eyes on Casey again, who's staring at her long forgotten cereal. Casey, honey, I repeat. Can you tell us who brought you here? I should have asked that question when she first came, but I'm still coming down from the shock of her sudden appearance at my doorstep and all the implications thereof. She turns and looks at me. Close your eyes and count to 20. Knock, knock, knock on the door. Her voice isn't quite clear as she says the words, but I still make out what she's saying. I take it from it whoever dropped her off must have told her to do this so that she wouldn't notice them leaving. I suck my teeth and curse myself for not count to 20. Like, I'm not around a bunch of 3 year olds, but she real, she real smart for three. I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids. Is 3 year olds count to 20? Maybe 10. I suck my teeth and curse myself for not getting one of those ring cameras. I would have come in handy today. I try again. Who said to count to 20? Her eyes widen. Jimmy. Jimmy. I wrinkle my nose and look up at my parents, who seem just as confused as me. My eyes flash to Nate, and he doesn't appear to know who Jimmy is either. Who's Jimmy? I ask, Mommy's friend. I'm about to ask what Jimmy looks like, but realize I'm speaking to a 3 year old. I look back at my parents. What do you think we should do? I mean, she has to be about to come back if she's finally ready to tell us about this. I gesture towards Casey as I speak. Mom looks like she's aged 5 years since yesterday. I can't help but to feel for her. She clearly torn between gushing over her newfound granddaughter and trying to figure out what the age that her daughter is up to. Sit down, I urge, and she wordlessly begins towards the kitchen table, but freezes as her phone rings at top volume. I almost chuckle at the sound. Only Mom would have her ringer so loud. But the laugh dies in my throat as I consider why she probably did so. It's because she's worried about Casey. She probably didn't sleep last night. Mom almost drops the phone and she scrambles to answer it. Hello? She listens for a second. Yes, this is Mrs. Johnson, she says with impatience. What's going on? Her eyes are wild as she listens. Then, when her features grow ashen, my heart lurches. I'm like on the edge of my seat. My stomach hurts. Yes, she says, as if she can barely speak. Her hand grips my father's arm, and he looks just as afraid as she does. What is it? Nate says, but no one answers him. Yes, I'm in my daughter's house. Mom's voice trembles, and then she rattles off my address. A few moments later, she ends the call and turns to my father. That was a detective. He says he's on the way. Her tone of voice is off. She sounds strangled, like she can barely get the words out. What do you mean he's on the way? I say, gripped with fear. Mom's voice cracked as she responds. He says they might have found Casey. Chapter 19. Katrina. My family sits on pins and needles as we wait for the detectives to arrive. I can barely breathe. We all moved to the living room once Mom ended her call. But then I had the presence of my mind to see if Casey was wearing a pull up. It's bizarre, but for some reason, all these mother instincts are hitting me. It's as if my mind is preparing me for the inevitable, although I don't think that I want to know what the inevitable is. She is wearing a pull up and she's wet herself. Of course, I don't have spare wands laying around, so we end up. So we send Nate to the store to grab some and some wipes. Also send him some money via a payment app. A payment app. Um, for snacks and things. My eyes blur with tears when he leaves. All I feel is an impending sense of doom, like whatever the detectives have to say isn't going to be good. Mom and Dad seem to feel it too. They are sitting on the edge of the love seat. Dad's hands formed into fists while Mom's are clasped in a prayer position. Excuse me. The longer we wait, the more the gloomy feeling settles in. I know in my gut that this isn't going to end well for my family. As I'm having a thought, Mom starts speaking, her voice chattering like she's losing her mind. I mean, she could have told us about the baby. We wouldn't have been upset, right, honey? She looks at Dad for emphasis and he nods. But she's okay though, right? Mom asks her voice raising an octave. She'll be potty trained. What on earth? She can count to 20 and she still pee on herself. I'm just um And then why they just gonna put one pull up in the bag? You had the nerve to put her birth certificate in there. You could do some pull ups and some wipes in her backpack with some toys. Oh, I lost my place. But she's okay though, right? Mom asks, her voice raising an octave. Dad doesn't answer, so she looks at me. Right, Trina? Mom hasn't called me Trina or any form of endearment in a long time, so I know this is bad. I don't know what to say to comfort her, so I opt out of speaking at all. I can't take the tension, so I turn the volume up for Kids Bops and Casey sits in front of the screen again. 25 minutes later, a knock sounds at the door and Nate enters. Casey darts back to my arms at the sight of him. He's licking his lips like he's fighting to appear calm, and I shoot him a quizzical stare. The detectives walk in with him wearing grim expressions. Both are dressed in business casual attire. The man is wearing a gray sweater and black slacks with a badge attached to his waistband. His ID hanging around his neck. He's also holding an iPad. The woman is wearing brown pants with a white shirt, and her badge and ID are prominently displayed. They don't appear to be carrying guns. As soon as the man forces a smile while addressing my parents, I know the worst has happened. I rush to the bathroom to change Casey's pull-up, wanting to stay in there and never come out, but I know I can't. When I emerge from the bathroom, the detective is in the middle of his explanation. The morning guard found the body during his first round. We project we project that it must have happened in the early hours of the morning, but we can't. But we will have to wait for the final update from the medical examiner to know for sure. We also plan to interview the night guard to see if he notices any suspicions during his round. I clap a hand over my mouth as his words sink in. From the sounds of it, they found a body, Casey's body. But where is she? What happened to my sister? Mom's expression is unreadable at first, and then she speaks up. But you say you're not sure it's her, right? You can't know if it's her for sure. She is adamant it's not Casey, but the detective's next words twist the knife. He looks at the female detective that focuses back on my parents. I hold Casey in my arms and begin rocking her because she looks tired. I feel numb on the inside, an empty void filling my chest. I already have a sense of what's about to happen. We compared the photo you gave us yesterday to the body that was found. We also took photos of the woman in the park. Park? Casey was found in the park? How? When her car is still parked outside her house. I want to ask what park the detective is talking about, but my lips can't form the words. The detective focuses on my father. Sir, would you be willing to look at the photo we have on the iPad? It only shows her from the neck up. To warn you, it might be unsettling, but it doesn't show the extent of the damage. The extent of the... My mom is about to lose it, I can tell. Dad nods, putting on a brave face. Then he lets go of my mother's hand and stands to face the detectives. I rock Casey faster, my heart beating wildly in my chest. Nate is still as a statue. The detective swipes the screen of the iPad, swipes across two more times, then pursed his lips. Let me know when you're ready, he says. Dad exhales a deep breath, then he nods. The detective slowly turns the iPad, and Dad looks at what's going on the screen. He stares for a long time, and then he nods, a single tear spilling down his cheek. No, Mom cries out, and then the dam has broken. Mom outburst causes Casey to start crying, and I want to comfort her, but my mother's heart is breaking before my eyes. Dad stands stunned, like he's about to faint. Then he slowly sinks to the couch next to Mom, nodding again. My baby, Mom wails, and she clings to Dad for dear life. My voice is very unrecognized. My voice is barely recognizable as I speak in a gravely tone. Can I see? Nate knows something. I'm still holding Casey, but I need to know for sure. My dad is mistaken. Maybe his eyes play tricks on him and he mistook whoever that is in the photo for Casey. Casey can't be gone. She's too young. We just found out about her daughter. There's no way this is true. I absentmindedly hand Casey to Nate since my parents are falling apart and walk towards the detective. He stares at me as if he asks if I'm ready. I nod. He slowly turns the iPad and I see a woman laying on the ground with her eyes closed as if she's asleep. Her lip is busted and there is blood matted in her kinky brown hair. My mind immediately goes to the blood we saw on the counter and the floor in Casey's kitchen. The picture is only from the neck up, as the detective promised, but it doesn't cause the pain to lessen. I stare at the detective as I say my next words. I'm not sure he can hear me over my mom's persistent wails. What happened to her? His lips form a thin line. Then he looks at my parents before focusing back on me. I think it's best we save that conversation for later. Chapter 20. Katrina. My family will never be the same. My resounding thought is that Casey is gone. She left us a beautiful baby girl, but she won't be here to enjoy her with us. I can't believe it. Mom is still in hysterics, and poor Casey is crying her eyes out too. Dad is shell shocked, and Nate is a blubbering mess. I, however, am eerily calm. It hits me, but it hasn't hit me yet. I'm trying to hold it together and be the strong one for my family. Casey and I weren't close, but I never would have wanted this to happen to my sister. I zero in on one the male detective who looks like he wants to leave. The female detective is trying to comfort my mom by rubbing her back while she cries. What are our next steps? I ask, feeling more lost by the second. He sighs. Well, we need to speak with the night guard to see if he saw anything. We'll check out any camera footage that may exist at the park. Also, we will probably be asking the family questions again to see if anything jogs any of your memories. My body goes hot and cold at the last part of what he says. I'm not sure if I can stand another interview. Now that I know what happened to my sister, my full testimony might only hurt things. I already have to come to grips with the fact that me and Casey's last interaction wasn't friendly. But if I tell the police what happened, they might put me on the suspect list. The detective stares at me as if something just occurred to him. Where's the groom? My mouth grows dry. The groom? Troy? He nods. Why isn't he here with your family? As his eyes narrow with suspicion, or maybe I'm just imagining that, I scramble for an explanation for Troy's absence until I realize I'm holding an explanation in my arms. We got some shocking news this morning, I say, looking down at an exhausted Casey. Then back up at the detective. Her eyes are fluttering, like she's about to fall asleep from all the crying. Mom is still whimpering, though Nate cries have died down. Dad is as stiff as a board, and he hasn't uttered a word. The detective doesn't seem to be following what I'm saying. What shocking news? I swallow. Someone dropped this little girl off at my doorstep this morning. We had no idea she existed, but she was wearing a backpack that contained a birth certificate and a picture of her and Casey. I want to tell him about the argument between Troy and Nate and Troy leaving after the fight, but I'm not sure if that's wise. Troy's absence isn't what we need to focus on. What we need to focus on is this baby and whoever left her here. You're saying this girl is your sister's daughter? I nod, and no one in the family knew about her? Not until she knocked on the door. Who dropped her off? I sighed. I have no idea. I asked, but all she said was his name was Jimmy. None of us know Jimmy, so you can imagine what we're going through, especially with what you have just showed us. The detective takes in my words. He's silent for a while. Then he says, and you sure this is your sister's child? Mm, that's a thought. I'm taken aback by his question, but I answer anyway. I mean, she looks just like her, and they were in the picture together, plus the birth certificate. Can I see the photo and birth certificate? We might want to submit a DNA test as well, just to be sure. I suddenly feel leery of the detective. I know he's probably just doing his job, but part of me feels like he's telling me Casey might be taken from us. I won't let that happen. I've already become strangely attached to this now sleeping child despite just meeting her hours ago. But I don't tell the detective any of this. Instead, I say, I'm sure. And gently lay Casey on the couch while I go retrieve the items. I hand them to the detective and he examines them with gloved hands. Mind if I hold on to these? We might need to process them for evidence since you just found out about the baby today. The way that he says it as if he can't quite believe none of us knew about Casey's daughter, and I don't blame him because I can hardly believe either. But she's real and she's here, regardless of what any of us thinks. I nod. That's fine. He continues to stare at me, and no one knew about her, including the father. I stammer my next words. Yeah, well, no, no one knew, and we don't know 100% who the father is. We're assuming it's Troy's, but he said that he also knew nothing about the baby. But they were together. The detective appears taken aback. You already spoke to Troy about this? He glances around as if Troy will suddenly emerge from one of the rooms. I nod, feeling my heart flutter. Troy was here earlier when Casey's daughter first arrived. I stopped short, wishing I hadn't mentioned that part, because now he might ask more questions. But I forge on, hoping he doesn't start putting two and two together about me and Troy. When Troy saw her, he was shocked like the rest of us. No one knew my sister had a baby. The detective studies me for a long moment. He finally says. How well do you know Troy? His question is innocent, yet it probes the core of my inner being. There's no way I can answer it without immediately bringing suspicion upon myself. But with the way that things have been going, I have no choice. Biting my bottom lip, I contemplate how much to tell, then I let it all out. I know Troy well. I confess, he and I, we've been together without my sister's knowledge. For some reason, the detective doesn't appear surprised, and that only makes me feel worse than I already do. My mind flashes to yesterday when they questioned us all separately. I shudder at the thought of what they've been said about me behind my back. Mm-hmm, he says, then looks from my parents to Nate, then back to me. Mind coming to the station to give us a more formal statement? Chapter 21. Katrina. This is a nightmare. Thankfully, the detectives don't slap handcuffs on me when they ask me to come to the station, and when Dad asks, does my daughter need a lawyer? They assure him that I don't. Though I'm not sure how long the statement will remain true, they let me drive my own car to the police station, and I don't know how to make it there in one piece. I don't know what I'm in for once they start asking questions. My only hope is that I'm not handcuffed by the end of the interview. They hold way over there. My mind is both on both cases. I will never see my sister again, and further, I will drive away from my baby Casey. From baby Casey, the deeper the void in my heart. How will I ever live through this? I would not wish this on anyone. When we arrive, I park my car. The detectives walk me in the building, escorting me to a cold and uncomfortable room. It's a similar setup to what I've been in crime shows where they interrogate suspects and then someone watches through a two-way mirror. I would be scared, but I'm too numb to feel fear. Part of me wants them to lock me up and throw away the key. Any form of distraction would be better than what I'm currently feeling. Can I get you a glass of water? The female detective, Brady, asks. As I surmise, she must be the good cop. I shake my head. Anything I ingest will likely come back up in seconds. I sit on one side of the rectangular table and the two detectives sit on the other. The male detective Rogers asks if I mind him using a voice recorder to record my statement. No, I say, shaking my head. Okay. He introduces the statement, then they launch into the questions. The first few are much like what Officer Green asked me before. When they get to the question of when was the last time I saw my sister, I tell the truth. After the rehearsal party, I say, after everyone had gone to their rooms. Detective Rogers perks up. After the party, you say? I nod, swallowing as I know what's coming. I thought you said the last time you saw her was at the party, Detective Brady says. I stare at my hands, which are clasped in front of me at the table. I know, but I was afraid of getting in trouble. Trouble? Detective Rogers repeats. Why would you think that you would get in trouble? I sighed, not wanting to continue any longer, but knowing that I have to. Because our last interaction wasn't pleasant, a tear rolls down my cheek. Detective Brady features soften, that I'm not sure if she's faking it. Would you say that your last interaction wasn't pleasant? What do you mean? Flashes of what happened dart through my mind, but I keep my composure. We had an argument. Detective Rogers clicks his pen. An argument? About what? I hold my breath for a beat, but decide that telling them what it was about is necessary, though I don't need to tell them everything. I went to her room to talk to her about note and noticed she was drinking. Detective Rogers eyes me with expectation. What was wrong with her drinking? Detective Brady says, she was pregnant. I blurt. She had no business consuming alcohol in her condition. Your sister was pregnant? Detective Rogers says it's more of a statement than a question. I nod, 2 months alone. Any indication of why she shared about this pregnancy but not the other one? Detective Brady asks. I shake my head. No, that's part of the reason this is so bizarre. The detective stares at each other and is holding a silent conversation. Then Detective Rogers asks the next question. Take us back to baby Casey. You say today is the first time you ever met her? I nod, yes. I had no idea my sister had a child. And none of your family knew either? Detective Brady asks. No, we already told you that. I try to fight my defensiveness, but it's hard to do when they're talking in circles. How do you think your sister managed to hide this pregnancy and birth? Detective Rogers asks. No one noticed weight gain and hospital stay? Nothing? I shake my head, then it dawns on me. I gasp, oh, clapping a hand over my mouth. It all comes rushing back to me. The work assignment, I blurt out, and both detectives look confused. The words spill from my mouth. 3 years ago, my sister went on a 6 month assignment for work. The time she came back was around me and baby Casey's birthday 3 years ago. She could have carried the baby to term and had her out there then. My voice falters as I realize that my explanation doesn't help much. Yes, she could have carried Casey out of state, but it doesn't explain how or why she hid her for 3 years. I visited my sister's house plenty of times in the past 3 years, never saw a hint of a baby. Where was this work assignment? Detective Rogers asks. New Jersey. I say, we live in Massachusetts. What's the name of the company your sister worked for? Detective Rogers asks. I rattle it off and he writes it down. Let's go back to the night of the party. Detective Brady says, you and your sister had an argument. What was it about? I stare at her, not wanting to go through this again. Like I told you, she was drinking and I got upset with her because she was pregnant. Did you go to her room or did she go to yours? Detective Rogers asks. I went to her room. Why do you go to her room? Detective Brady asks. To talk to her. About what? My face grows hot. I hadn't expected this question, but now it's here. I don't know how to respond. I don't remember. You don't remember? Detective Rogers repeats. My ears burn as I shake my head. I really don't. I just remember seeing her drinking and becoming upset. Around what time would you say you went to her room? Detective Brady asks. I shrug. I honestly have no idea. After midnight for sure. Detective Rogers' eyes narrow. After midnight? Yes. Well, the party ended around 10, so everyone was probably still awake. Detective Brody scribbles something in her notepad. So you randomly got the idea to go to your sister's room, and when you get there, you see that she's drinking. Yes. And you fight? Yes. What kind of fight was it? Detective Rogers asks as I hold my face as straight as I can to answer. Just an argument. Lies. What did you say to each other? Detective Brady asks. I swallow. I asked her why she was drinking if she was pregnant. She blew me off like it wasn't a big deal. I yelled at her about being irresponsible. She yelled at me and called me an old maid and a loser. I said some hurtful things back to her and then she kicked me out. That's almost the full truth. I hope the detectives accept it. Sounds pretty heated, Detective Brady comments, as if she knows there is more to the story. It was. I stare at the table, but now that this happened, I wish that I could take it back. Detective Rogers studies me. Your sister was stabbed 6 times. My jaw drops open and tears fill my eyes. Stabbed? He nods grimly. Do you have any idea who would have done this to her? I can't grasp his words. The only thing that I can think about is my sister laying there helplessly in a park while some animal attacked her with a knife. Katrina, Detective Brady asks. I look up at her with glassy eyes. No, I have no idea who would have done it. Detective Rogers' tone grows stern. What about Troy, your sister's fiance? When was the last time you saw him that night? Another question I was not prepared for. We spent the night together in my room. I put my head back down. The whole night? Detective Brady asks, and I can't look back up at her as I nod, tears flowing freely down from my cheeks. A flashback of Troy leaving the room enters my mind, but I don't want to tell them that. I don't believe Troy is guilty of anything, and I don't want to potentially throw him under the bus if his absence truly was nothing. Then continue to ask more questions, each of them, repeating one after another in circular fashion. I try to make sure my answers are consistent while not giving them more than I intend to. By the time they finally set me free, it feels like my head is about to explode. Well, I'll let you know if any other questions arise, Detective Brady says, as they escort me out and I want to sink into the ground and die. When I arrive home, everyone is gone. Mom and Dad must have taken Casey. My heart pains because I miss her already. After the day that I had, I don't want to be alone, so I get back in my car and drive to my parents' house, hoping they'll set me. Dad answers and opens the door wider to let me in. We stare at each other and I look over at Mom, who was sitting on the couch holding baby Casey and reading her a bedtime story in a quiet voice. I recognize it's one of the books she used to read for Casey and me. Dad must have pulled it from the attic. Dad starts to ask, how did it go? But his voice trails off as I break down in a fit of sobs. He awkwardly sinks to the floor beside me, rubbing my back as my emotions let loose. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we're gonna read one more chapter, and and then we're gonna call it a night because I can feel myself drooping. Chapter 22. Katrina. I don't know when I fell asleep because I had trouble drifting off last night. I tossed and turned for hours before finally succumbing to exhaustion. Part of the reason I couldn't sleep was because of what happened to Casey and then my conversation with the detectives. But the other part was because the evening news broke the story of what happened to my sister. They didn't mention the stabbing, but they mentioned that her body was found and that they were looking for possible witnesses. Once my parents saw that, their eyes were glued to the screen and they watched the coverage every time that the story rolled around. After the sixth time of seeing the same story, Dad turned the TV off and told my mom we need to stop torturing ourselves. Absolutely. I agreed, though I understood Mom's plight. We focused on sleeping baby Casey after that, deciding where she would go for the night. In the end, Mom said that she would sleep on the couch while Casey slept on the love seat so the girl wouldn't wake up alone in a strange place. Me and Dad retired to our bedrooms. Um, Dad went to his and Mom's bedroom while I stayed on my old bedroom. Only I could barely keep my eyes closed, much less sleep. When I awake, I check my phone and see three missed calls from Troy, along with two texts. My head jokes because he has no idea what's happening to Casey unless he's seen the news. I scan his text and see that he has heard the news. Baby, I'm so sorry. How are you holding up? The first text says. The second one was sent an hour later. I understand if you don't want to talk to me right now. Once again, I'm so sorry. I don't know who would do something like this to your sister. I've been wondering the same thing since last night. We have to find who did this and bring them to justice. I hear movement and sound coming from downstairs, which means that Mom and Dad are likely woke. How are we going to navigate moving forward? We're dealing with the grief of losing my sister while being blindsided by her daughter. It's a gift and a curse all at once. I can't help but blame myself for all of this, though I know it's not logical. If Troy and I weren't so busy messing around behind my sister's back, maybe one of us would have noticed she was in danger. Last night when I saw her after the party, maybe if I tried to reason with her instead of immediately freaking out, she would still be here. But now there's nothing we can do, nothing we can say to change things. Nothing will bring her back. My phone buzzes in my hand with a call from Troy. I sigh, sitting up and sliding my legs over the side of the bed to answer. Hello? Troy's voice is etched in grief. Katrina, I'm so sorry. He sounds like he's hungover. Me too. My voice is barely above a whisper. Any idea who would have done it? He asks. Nate. I pause. Not really. I mean, the detectives are saying that they will follow up with the night guard from the park. How did my sister end up there, Troy? Her car was outside her house, and how did she end up at home when we stayed at the hotel? The anguish over not knowing anything almost becomes too much. I don't know, Katrina, he says. I just feel like the biggest piece of crap, knowing I played a hand in it. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled. Played a hand in it? I tense on the edge of the bed. What do you mean you played a hand in it, Troy? My mind goes wild, flashing to bits of conversation and interactions with Troy since my sister went missing. Then I can't forget that the night it happened, Troy went out of the room and he was gone for God knows how long. Why didn't I mention that to the detectives? While they were interviewing me, I thought it was a bad idea. But now saying he played a hand in it. Could he have? Not like that. He quickly backtracks, but his tone isn't convincing. I'm saying that we were doing makes me feel guilty is all. I sit silently taking in his words. I'm feeling guilty about the same thing. Sleeping with Troy while he was in a relationship with my sister was the worst decision I ever made. But I can't shake the uneasy feeling that Troy isn't telling me everything. Where did you go that night? I want to ask, but I'm not sure if I should. If Troy tries to deny that he left our room or gives me some bogus answer, I'm not sure how I can handle it. Because that would mean that he indeed had something to do with it. And if he did, I will never forgive myself. Katrina, Troy's voice brings me back from my zone. Listen, I need to go downstairs. From the sounds of it, Casey's woke. Downstairs. I'm in my parents' house. Oh, the disappointment of his tone is unmistakable. It's as if he were hoping I was home so that he could come over. I can't see Troy right now. Seeing him will only add to my guilt. I need to find a way to navigate my sister's murder and find out who did it. Not continue to mess around with the man who may have led to her demise. Guess we'll talk later then, he asked, sounding hopeful. Yeah, sure, I say, and hung up. Feeling bad as it sounds. Feeling bad as soon as I do because we didn't exchange I love yous. When did we become so toxic? After brushing my teeth and washing my face, I head downstairs where Mom is making star-shaped pancakes for baby Casey. The angst and nostalgia are real. What did she do? Bring out all the old stuff from me and Casey's childhood as soon as baby Casey arrived? From the tattered blue teddy bear baby Casey is holding to precisely what she did. Hey, I say when me and Mom catch eyes. Hey, Mom answers in a dull tone. Did you sleep last night? I asked. Mom scoffs. Barely. I don't press it because I know talking about what happened right now will only make things worse. Dad shuffles into the kitchen looking like he just rolled out of bed. His nightshirt is buttoned incorrectly and one of his pants legs is rolled up inside of his sock. The small smile graces my lips as the sight of the blue moccasin slippers I bought him last Christmas. Then my heart pains at the fact that there will be no more Christmases with Casey. Baby Casey is sitting in one of our old booster seats, humming and talking to herself. Her pigtails need to be redone. One braid has come loose and the other is missing a bobo. Once again, I'm captivated by the sight of this precious little girl. I don't want to be a weirdo and keep staring, but it's freaky how much she looks like my sister. It's like Casey reincarnated, and I think of the fact that my sister named her child after herself and snort, rolling my eyes, pump itself. Definitely something Casey would do. I can almost hear her voice. Oh, please, Katrina. Guys do it all the time. It sucks that I'm only appreciating my sister's wild behavior after her death. Blinking away a tear, I pull out a chair while Mama sits a cup of orange juice in front of me and a mug of coffee in front of Dad. The mug she selected is the one Casey brought him, ironically, also last Christmas. Mom shoots a lingering stare at the space Casey used to sit, then quickly turns back to the stove, stirring the home fries with a wooden spoon. Soon all the food is done and we sit to eat. Though baby Casey is probably the only one with an appetite, I need to call my job. There's no way I can go to work tomorrow in the condition that I'm in. As for today, I want nothing more than to stay in the comfort of my parents' house. The doorbell rings and I tense, praying it's not the detective, but also hoping it is them and they can tell us who they found the killer. It's not. Dad opens the door, and Nate walks in looking like he was just flung out of a blender. His eyes are red and puffy, and he hasn't bothered to change out of his wrinkled pajamas. One of his pants pockets is hanging outside of his pants. His shoes are on the wrong feet. I almost laugh at the sight, but think better of it. I'm sure I don't look much better than he does. Mom is the only one of us who looks well kept. Could it be the mother? Or could she have something to do with it? I just told you to scare her. I didn't say kill her. I really don't want it to be the mama. Um, and that's because the makeup she's wearing is probably covering the dark circles under the eyes from lack of sleep. Didn't you have to work today? Dad asks in a rough tone as Nate takes Casey's old seat. Called out, Nate murmurs, and no one else questions it. We pick over our meals in silence, then head to the living room. The rest of the morning ebbs and flows with us getting to know baby Casey while Mom, Dad, and I go through random outbursts of grief. It occurs to me that Casey probably doesn't understand her mother's dead, but I'm going to be the one to tell her. That and a painful thought enters my mind. The funeral. Who is going to be in charge of the arrangements? I didn't want to bring it up because I don't want to think about it, but I know the conversation will be held soon. Mid-afternoon, Mom gets a call from Detective Rogers. I know it's him on the phone by the way her eyes widen and her body tenses. She answers and puts him on speaker so we all can hear. Just giving you an update, he says, and his voice is gravely like he's been working all night. We spoke to the night guard at the park, and he says he saw a man walking through the park around the time the incident must have happened. He remembers the man because it was after hours, but he didn't get a good look at his face. What do you mean he didn't see his face? Mom persisted with impatience. Unfortunately, ma'am, that part of the park wasn't well lit, and the guard saw him from a distance. He says he yelled out to him that the park was closed, and he immediately left, so he thought nothing of it. And he didn't think to go see what he was doing. Mom speaks in an incredulous tone. Unfortunately not, Detective Rogers says. We also requested camera footage, but unfortunately that part of the park is outside of the range of the coverage. We all sit in defeated silence after hearing that. Rest assured, though, we were working around the clock to find out what happened to your daughter. Mrs. Johnson, we are canvassing the area for other possible camera footage outside the park. Someone has to have seen or picked up something. Mom doesn't seem convinced by his reassurance, but she doesn't say it. Next, we have some news about Jimmy. Everyone tenses again as he continues. We sent some officers to talk to neighbors on your daughter's street, and one of them caught Jimmy's car and license plate on their Ring camera. We were able to trace the information to a man named James Ransom, but unfortunately, he purchased a flight to Montenegro, then left shortly after. He must have dropped Casey off. What the F? Dad balked, startling everyone by his outburst. How could you let that bee leave the country? Detective Rogers answered as if he expected Dad's outburst. Mr. Johnson, I understand your frustration, but we had no way of knowing who he was until the neighbor showed us the footage, and by then it was too late. Can't you do something to make him come back? Mom asked. Unfortunately, we can't. Detective Rogers says. Montenegro is a non-blank blank country. Something with extradition. But Mr. Ransom's abrupt appearance puts him at the top of the suspect list. We also working on other leads. So you're telling me that if that bee never comes back, my daughter's death is in vain? Dad is heated, and I've never heard him swear this profusely. Detective Rogers answered with patience and grace. In my experience, the criminals always make a mistake, sir. If Mr. Ransom is guilty, we'll do everything we can to get him, and if he isn't, we'll do everything in our power to find out who did it. I could tell Dad wants to say more, but he doesn't. What about her phone? Mom asks as if she is rapidly losing hope in the whole situation. The data on your daughter's phone was unfortunately lost. Someone deleted everything on it and removed the SIM card. Mom gasps when he says that because that means this case has taken an even darker turn. Rest assured, Johnson family, we are doing everything we can. So we're going to stop right here. I am going to save this so you can watch the replay if you fell asleep. Chapter 23, I think it's like 42 chapters, so we'll definitely finish tomorrow. I'm going to go live at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. If it's like 10 and I haven't go live, give me like 10 minutes. But for the most part, I'm going to try to go live at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't say all but the girl's daddy, because like one thing I didn't know about these psychological thriller books is that anybody could be a suspect. Anybody could be the killer. Anybody could be, you be thinking it's one person. That's Troy's little sister. All right. Good night.